Right, ladies and gentlemen, we move on now to Burnley's review for this 25-26 season, and let me tell you, this is a corker. Bloody hell, what an exciting team this are. I think genuinely the most boring team I've watched in the league this season. They've never really been like interesting to any capacity, to be honest. Burnley. The only thing that was cool about them was the fact they signed Kyle Walker, and that even didn't go fantastically. It wasn't. It was about as washed as I think people thought he probably would be. So at 19th in the league table, second team to go down this season that we're going to be looking at. And yeah, if you are enjoying these, then please leave a like and check out my Substack where I will be leaving this as a written review as well. I'll show you here my article for the Wolverhampton Wanderers season. If you have a look at that, I will be continuing to do that for each of these teams, and then I'll move on to some different kind of content on there as well. So you can check me out here and on Substack as well. That would be very much appreciated, boys. Thank you very much, and let's get into it. I think it's quite difficult to really pick out a point in the season where Burnley have had much positive going for them. Obviously, you can look at this win against a Sunderland team, who at the time would just come off a 3-1 win against West Ham. I mean, yeah, you look at this game here in particular. I remember this was so, it's not, you can't really look at that because people still thought Sunderland were going to go down at the bottom of the league at that point. I think so. A win, I mean, a win is a win, but then you start to get to this run of form. Obviously, you lose against two decentish teams here, drawing against Forest, and then getting put in a pack by City, and then outside of these two wins against Leeds and Wolves, just shit, isn't it? It's just a heap of mediocrity. Awful December winter run of form, pick up a few points in here, but again, it's nothing that really makes you think, okay, well, they're gonna go on and do something magical here, really. Um, a lot of grey, a lot of draws. So the difference between this and Wolves was when Wolves were winning at this point, you kind of thought, okay, they're building a bit of momentum here. They're good teams that they're beating, so they could go on and actually make some. And obviously, drawing against Liverpool and Spurs isn't a bad thing in the slightest for Burnley. But you need to follow that up with wins, and then you're losing at home 2-0 to West Ham, losing 3-0 away at Sunderland, who obviously, yes, it's a difficult place to go, the stadium alike, but come on, man, 4-3 here against Brentford. Like, you can't be scoring 3 goals as a team like Burnley and losing a game at the end of the day. You're not a goal scoring team. If you're going to score goals, your priority is keeping them out. And so when you're scoring 3 and you're still losing a game, that, I just don't know, man. It says a lot. I think that Burnley definitely deserve to go down. Part of the reason why I think they deserve to go down is they chose to sack Scott Parker when they were already relegated. For me, that is stupid. I don't. I physically cannot comprehend what goes through someone's mind to think, okay, we've been relegated. This is horrible. You've got a manager like Scott Parker who won you, don't win the league. They were a point off winning the league in the championship, but conceded like ridiculously no goals at all. At that point, you might as well keep him. I don't get why you would then sack him at that point, because if you were going to build on it next season, go and get promoted again, and then look for a new manager in the off season, then I get that. If you were going to sack Scott Parker at, I mean, this point, this running of games here, if you sacked him after a 3-2 loss at home to Fulham, fair enough, go ahead. I mean, if you sacked him around like even here after losing to Brentford, when you're not down, or after he's lost to Mansfield, you're not relegated, but you're not looking good. Get a bit from a new manager bouncing and try and stay in the league. That would make sense, and that would be something that a serious team would do. But Burnley have not been a serious team this season. Um, Obviously, there's been a talk around the Wolves, obviously because of how bad they've been, and then the relegation battle's been pretty good. But Burnley have just been kind of in between that. They haven't been as bad as Wolves at a lot of points this season. I can pick up a few games in particular. I remember this Leeds performance was very good. They played very well in this game against Leeds. They looked good against Sunderland when they beat them, and even in games down here, like they drew against United, they looked pretty decent in that game. A draw against Liverpool is always a good thing. And then, I mean, they played against us. They looked alright. I mean, we were poor in the game, yes, but they looked alright against us. I thought, like stuff like that. There's been very very slight glimpse of positivity, but nothing really to write home about. It's been a very very dire season for Burnley, and one that they're going to want to forget pretty quickly. So I'm going to give them a 2 out of 10 based on their performance this year. Basically, they finished ahead of Wolves. They didn't finish bottom of the league. Looking at their transfer business, obviously the big one was Trafford. That's kind of the main talking point in terms of outgoings in this season for Burnley. I mean, he was never going to stay, to be honest, especially when City come calling. It looked like he was going to be the first choice keeper there, and I can't necessarily blame him for going at the time. It looked like a very good move for the kid. Obviously, he's rumoured to leave now, but I mean, they've hoovered up a bit of money for him. I think they got profit about 10 million odd worth of profit, something like that. And see, even their incomings, I don't think were actually that bad on a lot of accounts. Uga Chukwu was not a bad player at a lot of times for Burnley this season. Bashir Humphries was all right. I think Chalmers showed flashes as well. Hartman started well, Anthony started well, but they kind of faded a little bit. They yeah, they dropped off fairly quickly. I remember these two in FPL were doing quite well at the start of the season, but yeah, they kind of faded quickly. Edwards wasn't really given a chance for me this season. I don't think he was given an opportunity to shine. The Walker signing was never going to work for me. Sorry, he had no affiliation to Burnley beforehand. Like I say, I remember some people saying I bet he's fuming that Sheffield United didn't come up because he would obviously have gone to them. He had no affiliation to Burnley. It's just a weird signing. It just is a weird signing. Obviously for them it's a massive name, but if they'd seen the performances for him at Milan and City at the start of the season, he's not got it. That's the problem. Like he has just lost his legs, and he's very, very pace reliant for his role at right back. Um, that's the problem that is with Walker. So I don't think that signing has worked. To be honest with you, Brun Larson again, just a signing they didn't need. To be honest, it wasn't given game. I mean, if Marcus Edwards, who I think is a better player than Brun, I do like Brun Larson. But if Marcus Edwards is who I think is a better player, isn't getting game time, then why chances Brun Larson gonna have? I know you want to sign quite a few names because of flash in the pan, and you might catch one striker lightning. But I mean, these you've had Brun Larson before. You played these games before. Hasn't really done anything for you. Vice was second choice goalkeeper. Florentino for me was underwhelming. That's a big name. Come from Benfica on loan. I think he could have done better. I think him and Ugochukwu could have worked a lot better than it actually did in that midfield. Few positives. Like I said, Ugochukwu, good signing. I think. Yeah, they did spend quite a pretty penny on him, but I think he was worth it. He'd shown flashes for Chelsea. I remember he looked really good when he went down against when he was at Southampton. Zian Fleming, good Premier League level striker. I think 11 goals this season in the league. Yeah, I mean he couldn't have done really much more. His service wasn't fantastic to be honest. Anthony started strongly. Was really strong actually with his start. So much stronger than Hartman was. Anthony was really solid to start with, and then was kind of a bit of a flash in the pan player. Probably their signing of the season though, Martin Dubravka. Won the well, got the most points on the player podium for Burnley, and yeah, he saved their asses in a lot of these games. A lot of these games, like he made some really important saves. That was a really good deal. I think it was on a free, and he still got it in the back. I think there's just one or two games where people are, oh, he's clearly lost it and all that. But in the 5, 10 games before that, he'd been Burnley's best player in all of them. Um, Burnley would have got a 4 out of 10 on transfer deals. They would have, but come on, man, Armando Broja, really? He that loan spell at Southampton was 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe. He's went to Fulham last season and did jack shit. What did you think he was going to do for Burnley this year? He is an awful football player. I don't know how many other ways I can say that he is an awful football player, and he in himself is enough to dock Burnley a point. So yeah, you're going back down to 3 out of 10, and they didn't do enough for me in January to really drag themselves up. All they did was sign Ward-Prowse on loan. Just didn't do enough at all. So yeah, it's 3 out of 10 overall for me on the transfers to Burnley, and yeah, Broja, man, it's just so bad. Looking at their prospects next season, they don't have a manager, is the one thing I'm really going to start with. They do not have a manager. Mike Jackson is an interim. He won't stay. And that's fairly clear. Mike Jackson won't stay. They're going to look for someone else. He's been holding down the fort in the meantime, and confirming the relegation. Walker won't stay. His wages will be so massive that he won't be able to keep him on. More players I don't think will stay. I don't think Estev will stay. He is, I mean, you see it, 25 million rated. He probably is one of the bigger names in that team, one of the better, more known players in that Burnley side. And I think he has got the flow in him to move to a maybe a team in the Premier League, maybe back to France. Maybe that will be their play there. Players they signed last season, people like Hartman, definitely Ugachukwu is not staying there. I can 100% guarantee you that. People like this who are on big wages, who you're going to get a bit of money for, who are going to want to move to a better league, they're all going to stay. I think Hannibal will stay. He was there last year. Edwards will go. Didn't get the game time. Anthony probably will stay. Fleming's going to go, and you're going to be stuck relying on Broja. So that's unlucky. But nah, I don't think this core in itself is particularly good. I don't know what happened to Dubravka. So if you're looking at players that will stay, you'd think if you to just form a starting 11 off the top of your head, Vice, and then what, Roberts, Twanzebe, maybe Bashir Humphreys, and then struggling Perez maybe. I don't know if he'll stay. And then what, Ward-Prowse will go back on loan. Cullen will stay, and you got no other midfield options to be honest there. And then this is all a bit out. Trezor Ramsey, not a big fan. Brun Larson, not a big fan. Medjbury will stay. Don't know about Chowner. I do not know about Chowner. I do quite like him, and I think he might leave. So in that case, you're looking at a lot of replacements there for Burnley. You need to strengthen at centre half. You really do. If these players are going to leave, wing backs, both places you need to go, and your midfield needs to be stronger as well, because a lot of these names aren't going to stay along. Outside of that, it is just all around the gaff. To be honest, I think there's a lot more holes in this Burnley team than there were in that Wolves team. I think a lot more of these players are more attractive prospects than those Wolves boys were. So I think it is just an overhaul for Burnley, and I know it probably will be for Wolves as well, but to a much greater degree because of some of the names in this squad. I think you're going to have to be doing a lot of work. If I'm looking at players that started a lot last season that I don't think will stay on, especially the foreign lads, because the foreign lads, people like Hartman, people like Chowner, people like that aren't gonna want to stay in England if they're not playing in the Premier League. Like someone like, I don't know, Connor Roberts. I know Wales and England are not the same thing, but he's been playing England for how long? He's could probably be fine to stay there. Someone like your who am I looking at here? Maybe. I mean, Ward-Prowse is going back on loan, so that Edwards was there in the Championship last season. He might want to stay. Someone like Jaden Ante might be more inclined to stay. So people like these will be looking at staying, and but that's it really. There's not a lot else in terms of staying. I'm going to give Burnley for the prospects for next season. I think I'm going to give them a 3, the same as Wolves, because I think the core players there are better. But the fact that you don't have a manager is slightly concerning, and you're going to be doing a lot of work this season. I think they're slightly less likely to go up than Wolves and West Ham are. I think they're the most likely out of the 3 relegated teams to stay down, in my opinion. And this is how the table's looking now. Burnley have overtaken Wolves in terms of the best teams so far this season. Not a lot of competition, don't worry about that. By 2 points, they are ahead now of Wolves. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one with Burnley because there's not a lot really to be said about them. They aren't the most interesting team ever. Certainly the least interesting team so far this season. And yeah, they are, for me, they need to be careful next season in terms of the manager they get in, and especially the dealings that they do, because I think the other 2 teams have a bit of a better platform to go up next season. So yeah, that'll be all from me, boys. I'll be posting a written version of this fairly shortly, and thank you very much again for watching. See you later.